In this video, I'm going to describe one extremely simple step you can take to dramatically improve the quality of your conversations and the closeness and intimacy of your relationships. And although it's simple, it's not easy. Hi everybody, it's Bruce Lambert from HowCommunicationWorks.com. This is a channel where I teach you about communication skills so you can improve your relationships, succeed at work, and be more confident. In this video, I want to talk about a simple step that we can all take to improve the quality of our conversations. If I go on Reddit and I go on Reddit social skills, everybody there is talking about how can I improve the quality of my conversations. If you look around the news media, there's always studies about loneliness. I was reading the news this morning, all these studies about the plague of loneliness affecting people of all ages. People are alone. They're not satisfied, not just with the quantity of their relationships, but with the quality of their relationships. And if you look in your own personal relationships, you find that people are often dissatisfied with the quality of their communication and their relationships. And so, I started this channel in part to improve on those kinds of challenges. To help you improve, I've tried to teach you about a variety of techniques, especially involving listening and how you exhibit empathy in a face-to-face conversation, how you manage embarrassment and loss of face. These are all kind of fundamentals of getting along in a face-to-face conversation. But I think in the modern world, there's an even simpler thing that you can do to improve the quality of your conversations and deepen the intimacy and the level of connectedness you feel in your relationships. And that is to put away your phone. You've got to put away your phone. You just absolutely have to. And here I'm talking to myself as much as I'm talking to you. Bruce, you've got to put away your phone. These things are not just incredibly distracting, where they damage our ability to concentrate, to the ability to do deep work and to learn things fast. I'll put up a link to a video I made a week or so ago about Cal Newport's book on digital minimalism, where the whole book is about basically getting rid of our phones in part so we can improve the quality of our conversations. And in that book, he quotes at length a different book called Reclaiming Conversation by Sherry Turkle, where she makes the same basic point. And I was listening to Sherry Turkle's book the other day, and she was saying there are these studies that show even the mere presence of a cell phone in an interaction, even if neither person is using the phone, diminishes the quality of the interaction. So I had found this a little bit hard to believe, so I actually went online, searched for these papers, and down in the description, I'll link to two of these papers. One of them was done in the laboratory, and one was done in kind of a Starbucks coffee shop setting, and both amazingly found the same thing. I'll describe the experimental study first. So in this experimental study, they brought people into a kind of laboratory, and they had them sit facing one another, and there was a table between them off to the right, and in one condition, there was a cell phone sitting on a book face down on the table, off to the side. In another condition, there was just a little notebook shaped like a cell phone, a little mini notebook sitting on the book on the coffee table off to the side. And then they had people talk about either kind of a trivial topic or a meaningful topic for 10 minutes. And then they filled out a bunch of questionnaires about their level of connectedness and the quality of the conversation and so on. And to cut to the conclusions, the mere presence of the cell phone led to a decrease in the perceived quality of the conversation along a variety of dimensions: empathy, connectedness, intimacy. They used a bunch of different kind of social scientific scales to measure the quality of the conversation. But using each of those scales, the mere presence of the cell phone inhibited and took away from the quality of the conversation. This is a really surprising finding. And then when they interviewed the participants after the study, they asked them if they even noticed the cell phone. And lots of the subjects didn't even notice the cell phone, or at least they claimed not to. And so some of these effects are taking place at the level below conscious awareness. It isn't necessarily that we're thinking, oh, there's a cell phone, I'm going to be distracted by knowing that it's even there, it might ring or something. Somehow, even at the level below conscious awareness, the presence of a cell phone makes our conversations less enjoyable, less meaningful, and less intimate. So some researchers took that study, which was done in the laboratory, and they wanted to see, could they extend it in a real world setting? Would it still be valid in a real world setting? So they went to a bunch of coffee shops, and they observed 100 pairs of people in coffee shops. I can't remember where it is. I'll link to the study down in the description below. So they went to a coffee shop and they recruited people who came into the coffee shop in pairs. So they approached them at the counter. They said, would you like to be in this study? We want to study conversation. And the people who agreed to have a conversation and have a research assistant observe them for 10 minutes while they talked again, either about a superficial topic or a meaningful topic. And here, the researchers didn't control whether or not a cell phone was present. They just observed whether or not either person in the pair took out a cell phone. And again, at the end of the 10 minutes, they took a bunch of social scientific questionnaires about intimacy and empathy and connectedness and the quality of the conversation and so on. And again, they basically replicated the same finding, that in the conversations where the cell phone came out, the quality of the conversation by both people was perceived to be less than in the conversations where the cell phone did not come out. So I think this fact alone probably isn't surprising to lots of viewers, because I think we all intuitively sense the cell phone is like the third person in the conversation. You're trying to connect with someone and talk, and they're either looking at their phone or their phone is there on the table, and it's a constant source of distraction. So it is interesting to think about what's the mechanism of this effect? That is, how does the presence of the cell phone or taking out a cell phone during a conversation detract from the conversation? And these authors offer a variety of explanations. One is that the presence of the cell phone simply reminds us of this larger web of relationships that we exist in. And it reminds us that any of those people, as kind of symbolically inside the phone, could be wanting to talk to us, or we could be talking to them. And so it just distracts us. It pulls our attention away, and in that way detracts from our ability to actually connect with the person who we're sitting across from. Of course, there's also the possibility that we're you know how you sometimes feel like a physical urge to pick up your phone? There's the addictive quality to it, that you need a hit from Twitter or Facebook or Instagram or something like that. You want to pick up the phone, and so the presence of it is constantly tempting you, because you could get a little dopamine hit if you picked up the phone and began to scroll. So this also distracts you from engaging in the conversation and thereby decreases the quality of the conversation. The clear implication of this, I said at the beginning of the video, it was simple, but not easy. The clear implication of these studies, and I think of our own intuition, is got to put the phones down. Now, a lot of people, I think young people especially, like I grew up for the first 42 years of my life without an iPhone. So I actually learned to have conversations without an iPhone present, but I'm just as hooked on the iPhone as everybody else now, but at least I kind of developed before the iPhone could ruin my ability to socialize. But as I go around the internet, especially on places like Reddit Social Skills and other places where people are concerned to improve their communication skills, they go on, and people say things like, I don't know how to have a conversation. I don't know how to keep a conversation going. I don't know how to respond to people. I don't know how to connect to people. And they bemoan that they're lonely, socially isolated, and unable to succeed in relationships. But of course, these people are on Reddit, and presumably, getting to Reddit via a smartphone or a tablet or a computer or something like that. I don't believe that iPhones are responsible for every social ill. I think that's overly simplified. And in another video, I want to describe a recent study that shows how a lot of the research about the relationship between digital devices and outcomes, should be carefully questioned. We should be skeptical about it, and probably including these two studies, but at least they've been replicated once. So even if iPhones are not responsible for every problem in our culture, for suicide and loneliness and depression and anxiety and homelessness or whatever else we want to blame on the iPhone, I think it's pretty clear that the presence of these devices can have a detrimental effect on our relationships, and especially on the quality of our conversations, if for no other reason than they represent a constant distraction. And a high quality conversation requires attention. It requires a lot of energy to maintain the focus of attention on the other person, on all of their verbal and nonverbal behavior, so that we can respond empathically. All those other videos I made, many of which I'll link to above, about empathy, assume that you're paying attention, that you're listening to what the other person is saying, and that you're closely observing their behavior so that you can respond empathically to what they say and do. But the presence of a phone draws our attention away from the interaction, and thereby makes us just poorer counterparts in any kind of conversation. So we're basically bad company when we've got the iPhone out. What's the answer? put the damn phone away. When you're at a restaurant, put the damn phone away. When you're talking to your boyfriend or girlfriend, put the damn phone away. When you're talking to your children, put the damn phone away. And again, am I guilty of this? Absolutely. I'm trying to convince myself to do this so that I can improve the quality of my own conversations. So that's it. A simple, but I think powerful opportunity to improve the quality of your social relationships. Put the damn phone away. If you like this video, give it a like, subscribe if you haven't already subscribed, and click that notification icon. Share it with your friends if you think this is interesting and important. Go on over to howcommunicationworks.com and give us your email address. We'll send you an ebook on empathy where you can learn more about these empathic communication skills. Thanks for watching. We really appreciate it. See you next time.